Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Laudenschlager from PK. I wanted to take some time today to talk to you about using your scissors and your scissors skills. When we first met in September, I know a lot of you were just practicing, some of you were just learning, some of you had already gotten very good. But the last time we got together and had the chance to use our scissors, we were all in the same spot. We were all doing very well. But like anything else, if you don't do it over and over and over again, you kind of forget, and sometimes you don't do a good job as you'd like to. I know you're getting ready to go to kindergarten next year, and you don't want to have to stop and ask for extra help with scissors. So this is something you can practice at home when you are with your family, or when you are with one of your brothers and sisters and you'd like to work on a project, maybe something special to give your mom or dad. So I have some ideas for you to practice your cutting. First of all, we always have to make sure that we have the right tools. I have a scissors that's a little bigger because I'm a grown-up, but I want you to be able to have a scissors that's the right size for you. And if you're a lefty, like my friends Finnegan or Tanner, then you want to make sure that you have a scissors that you can use in your left hand. When we use our scissors, we always want to make sure that our thumb is going to go through the smaller part. The rest of our fingers will occupy the ring underneath. I have my thumb and all of my fingers inside, except my pinky doesn't really fit, so I let it sit outside. When I'm ready to use my scissors, something that's really important is that you keep your thumb up. I always say to my friends when you're cutting, thumbs up to the moon, and that helps you to remember what position your hand should be in. If your hand is turned like this and you're holding a piece of paper, it's really hard to cut. But if you have your hand turned the right way and your thumb is up facing the moon and you go to cut, you'll find it much easier. Some of the ideas I had for cutting were to take a piece of paper and draw some lines on it. You can draw a straight line, a wavy line. You can draw a very curvy line. At the end, I drew some leaves so I would know what I was aiming for when I'm cutting. You could put stickers there if you'd like also. Make sure you're using your helping hand when you're cutting to hold the paper and turn the paper too. That way you're able to keep your hand straight and your thumb up, and you don't have to move your hand as much and it won't get as tired. So use your helping hand. Make sure you're holding the paper the right way. Make sure you're holding the scissors the right way before you get started, and you can practice cutting your different lines. I also thought it would be fun if we could make some puzzles. That way you get to play with it over and over again. And we've done this in school a couple of times. I made a simple shape of a turtle. I traced it onto some construction paper. And then I turned my turtle over and I drew some lines on the back. So now I can take my scissors with my thumb up to the moon. My helping hand is holding the turtle, and I can make some simple cuts along the lines that I drew. The more cuts I make, the more puzzle pieces I will have to put together. But for an example, just cutting it along one set of the lines, I already made a puzzle. So you can cut the rest of the lines and you would have a really fun puzzle to take apart and put back together as many times as you want. You can also cut things out of magazines and cut them into different shapes, and then you can put them back together and make puzzles out of those things too. I have a friend who has a birthday coming up, and I want to be able to make him a card. He really likes going to the beach, so I thought I would try to put some of the ocean into the picture that I want to make for him. I took blue paper because it reminds me of the water, and I took white paper because it reminds me of the foam that sits on top of the water. And I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm just going to move my hand in a wavy motion as I cut, turning my hand and the paper. And when I'm done cutting, I can take the white paper, put it behind the blue paper, and I can make the ocean with the foam, glue it onto another piece of paper, and start my card for my friend's birthday. You can also practice your cutting by cutting some grass. I started some to show you what it looks like. But you just take your scissors and open it as wide as you can and make snips all the way across the paper. And when you're done, you'll have grass. And you can cut that apart and glue it to a piece of paper, and that could be the bottom and the beginning of a really nice picture that you could make for someone. I also like to use magazines for cutting. There's all kinds of good things in magazines that you can use. So I went inside this magazine and I found some really great pictures of food. I like food. And I thought I could make a fun menu book and maybe come up with some ideas for some new meals and give it to my family, and they could make some choices about what they would like to have for dinner that night. On this one, I have a yummy hot dog and a healthy salad. On this one, I decided I would like to have some milkshakes and a sandwich. So this one's berry. Lots and lots of good stuff on the sandwich. So I thought that would be a lot of fun. I also went through my magazines and I found lots of recipes. I bet your moms and dads or grandmas and gramps have magazines around too, and some of them might have recipes in. If you don't want to save the whole magazine because it takes up a lot of space, you could just cut out the recipe, glue it to a piece of paper, and then you can keep it in your recipe file, and that way it tells you what you would like to use in your recipe for something special for your family. So I'm sure you can see there's all different ways that you can practice using your scissors. But remember the most important things. Don't forget to ask your family, am I allowed to use the scissors? Do I have the right size scissors for my hand? And do I have other things that I'm allowed to cut? It's an old magazine or a piece of paper. Make sure you ask a grown-up first that you're allowed to use it. Happy cutting, and I'd like to see what you're able to put together with your scissors and paper and a little bit of glue. It was great talking to you.